Yokoso minna, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're continuing our journey throughout the names of Dragon Ball, and starting from this video we're diving into the Red Ribbon Gun, or the Red Ribbon Army. Make sure you don't miss it, these are going to be some colorful videos. Let's get started. Ikuze! Okay, so here we go, and we're starting with Tankobon volume number 5. Still the Calaban version, the reworked colored-in version. A little side note, as you can see on the screen, these reworked covers by Toriyama-sensei. Here and there he will work in the number of the Tankobon. Here the number 5 is on the bike that Son Goku is riding. So on other covers here and there you might also find references to the volume we're discussing. Okay, so let's get started with the Red Ribbon Gun. Now, I checked various reference works. One of them is the Daisenshu, which is an encyclopedia of Dragon Ball. And there I found this page, which shows like the hierarchy or the structure of the Red Ribbon Gun. I thought it was interesting to do it in this way, so I've recreated something like this. On the left side, you'll see the structure of the army, and I will be highlighting where we are each time while we're discussing. Okay, so first up, the Red Ribbon Gun Hombu, which is actually the Red Ribbon Army headquarters or main office. In this case, I would translate it as headquarters, which is located in the west, as it states on the manga panel. Now, if we have a look at the structure, we can see that we have the Red Ribbon Gun Hombu, so the Red Ribbon Army headquarters, and under it you have each subdivision. I will go through them one per one. So the Red Ribbon Gun Hombu is where the leaders are, is the head of the snake, so to speak. Under it we have Shirubaa Taisa, the silver corps. Tai is usually translated as army corps or corps. And you will see that all the subsections and all the characters of the Red Ribbon Gun are actually referencing colors of the color spectrum. Next up we have the Howaito Taisa, or the White Corps, which also features the muscle tower, the muscle tower. Next up we have Blue Chutai. This is a little bit peculiar because we have blue, which is a loan word. For the colors you will often see loan words here. Red Toribon, Shirubaa, Howaito. There are actually native Japanese words for those colors, but here Toriyama-sensei opted to use a transcription of the English word. And a bit peculiar for the blue Chutai is that you can see it says not Tai but Chutai as the last two kanji, which translate differently. Instead of corps, I believe it means something in the sense of army company. Now, the difference between a corps and a company, I must say, I'm not quite sure. I'm not well versed in those matters. If somebody is knowledgeable about that, please do feel free to write it down here in the comment section. I'm guessing a company is maybe bigger than a corps or vice versa, I don't know. But this is the only one, the only subsection that is a chutai, a company, and not a tai company, a corps, sorry. Okay, so next up we have the Yellow Tai, which is the Japanese transcription of Yellow Corps. Next up the Violetto Tai, the Violet Corps. Braune Tai, the Brown Corps. And finally Kappa Tai, which is the Copper Corps, copper colored corps, I would say. Okay, so now we have all the subdivisions listed. Let's dive into them and have a look at all the characters that appear in each corps. So first up, we start with a headquarters or the head office, and there we find, of course, the leader of the Red Ribbon Gun, Reddo Sousui. Now, Reddo Sousui, Reddo references the color red, taken from the English word, and Sousui means general, and I would say it's a general in a modern military context. We will see later that there are other words for general, which are more in a classical sense, but here it's a modern version of modern army. So he's a general, red, so General Red or the Red General. I would prefer translating it as General Red, which sounds better in my opinion, and which matches better with the vibe Toriyama-sensei goes for here. And as you can see, and this is the fun part of the kalaban, of the colored version of the manga, he has a red eye patch, and actually all the characters of the Red Ribbon Gun will have here and there certain peculiarities which reference the color their name is attached to. So here we have General Red, Reddo Sousui, with a red eye patch. Directly beneath him is Burakku Hosa. Now, Burakku is a Japanese transcription of the English word black. Hosa means assistant. So he's directly under the General Red or Reddo Sousui. Hosa means assistant, can be in various contexts. And here as well, his name, Burakku Hosa, well, his skin color references his name, or the color in his name. And they are located at the headquarters. Next up, we move on to the Shirubaa Taisa, which are actually the first enemies that Son Goku encounters of the Red Ribbon Gun. And their leader is Shirubaa Taisa. Now, Taisa means colonel, so Colonel Silver. Shirubaa is the Japanese transcription of the English word silver, so Colonel Silver. Here we can see he sports the typical red ribbon around his neck, which is typical for the Red Ribbon Gun. That's where they get their name from. They all wear red ribbons around their necks. And he also references his name, or the color in his name, with the silver buckle on his belt, as you can see here. So here and there you will see indeed those little references, which we didn't have in the black and white manga version. Moving on, we then go to the Howaito Taisa, the White Corps, and typical for them is that they're located in a very snowy area, hence probably the name Howaito Taisa, the White Corps, and their base, so to speak, is Muscle Tower. As you can see here, this is Muscle Tower. Located at, if I can just go back here, it says it's located at Howaito Taikichi, so which is the area which is governed or that falls under the jurisdiction of the White Corps. Now, before he dives in, Son Goku meets up with some local villagers, and they live in what is called Jingle Mura. Now, Mura means village in Japanese, and Jingle comes actually from the English word jingle, as in jingle bells. So it has somewhat of a Christmassy vibe going on. As you can see, the little girl here with that sweater, which is somewhat festive or Christmas-like, I would say. The snowy landscape, so that's where the name comes from. It's in reference to jingle bells or to Christmas. Here we see the Muscle Tower, so it's subdivided in various floors. Each floor has an enemy that Son Goku needs to defeat in order to advance. And on the 5th floor, we see Nazo no Heya. You see that just under the top floor, Nazo no Heya with a question mark. We'll get to it later. Nazo means mystery or something that is unclear. And later on we will see why. Okay, so all the way at the top of the Muscle Tower, you have their leader, Howaito Shogun, which means General White. Well, here, as you can see, Shogun, I translated as general, but we also had Reddo Sousui, which also means general. Shogun is more of a word from how can I say? It's more of a classical word. It's a word referencing general more in the style of during the days of the samurai and so on. And Sousui, I believe, is more of a modernized version of that word, which is used in more modern military jargon. But both translate to general, which can be a little bit confusing. So some leaders of course in the Red Ribbon Gun are referred to as also being a general. Regarding the reference to the color in his name, the only thing I could see was that he wears you can see it a little bit here, a white undershirt. Not sure if that's the only reference, but yeah, that's all I could see here. Okay, so now we're going to climb up the Muscle Tower, and the first enemy Son Goku encounters is Metarriku Gunsou. Now, Gunsou means general, so general metallic. Metallic as in the sense of metallic color, which is not surprising because actually he's some sort of android or cyborg, clearly inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, especially from the movie Terminator 2. The hairstyle, the sunglasses, the muscular, huge body, clearly inspired by that movie character. And we will see in the rest of the volumes that Toriyama-sensei often also references or is inspired by Hollywood movies, whether it be the look of the character or the name of the character. So here, Metarriku Gunsou, Sergeant Metallic. Some people or manga fans may know the word Gunsou from Keroro Gunsou, which is also a manga, Sergeant Keroro. So this is the same kanji you see here. Moving on the next floor, we encounter Murasaki Souchou, and Souchou is actually Master Sergeant. So I believe that's one level above Sergeant, which would make sense as he's higher up in the tower, on the tower. He's a ninja. Murasaki is a little bit different here than the other names because here we have a Japanese word, Murasaki, which means purple. It's also written in katakana and not in kanji, probably to stay in line with the other characters, which also have their names written in katakana, because their names are taken from the English words for these colors, so they're transcripted words or loan words. Now here it's a native Japanese word, but still written in kanji, Murasaki. And the kanji behind him is Souchou, Master Sergeant. Now, he uses a technique where he seems to be disappearing and reappearing or appearing at multiple locations at once. At first, Son Goku thought this was some kind of special technique, but it turns out there's actually 5 of them. And in the manga, this is referenced as Itsutsuko-chan no Ninja. Now, Itsutsuko means quintuplets, so 5 identical children. Chan is a suffix. We talked about this before. There are various suffixes for names. San is the neutral one. Chan is a bit more endearing, familiar, I would say. And no ninja, so the ninja. So the quintuplet ninjas, I would say. Now, we only know the name from the manga of the middle one, of the center one, the one that Son Goku encounters, which is Murasaki Souchou. But the names of the other 4 aren't mentioned in the manga. However, I did some digging, and there's a reference work which is pretty hard to find now. Maybe on Yahoo Auction you can encounter it here and there, called Dragon Ball Boken Special, so Dragon Ball Adventure Special. It was a book published back in the day, late 80s, I believe, while the manga was still being serialized, while the manga was still running. And in that book, which is official, so it comes from Toriyama-sensei himself, the names of those 4 characters are mentioned, and we can see them on the screen here. They are Kon, Cha, Aka, Ao. And it makes a lot of sense, actually, because if you add Iro to them, you get a color. Kon Iro, Cha Iro, Aka Iro, Ao Iro. And if you have a look, I put the colors underneath it. So Kon Iro means velvet blue. Cha Iro means brown. Now, as you've seen there, the one but last core on the hierarchy is brown Tai, the brown core. Here it's Cha from Chairo, which also means brown. What's the difference? Now, brown comes from the English brown, is a loan word, is sometimes used in Japanese. Chairo is the native word, and ocha means tea. So you have brown tea, and that's actually where the name comes from. Chairo, so that brown color of that brown tea. Akairo means red, also a native Japanese word. And finally, Aoiro means regular blue color, also a native word. So all native Japanese words for colors, again written in katakana to stay consistent with the other names of the Red Ribbon Gun. And what's really interesting, if you add Murasaki to it, if you add purple to it, somewhere in the middle, I believe if you mix these 4 colors, you actually do get purple. Or they're quite on either side of the color spectrum, I would say. So that's probably why he chose those colors, because purple can be put in between, and it's kind of like a mix of these colors, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now, as I said, it wasn't mentioned in the manga, but I consider it to be official as it was published in this reference work. Okay, so moving on, we go to the next floor, and there we encounter Jinzouningen Hachi-Gou. Now, fans of Dragon Ball, when they hear that, they will probably immediately know what we're talking about. Let's dissect his name. Jinzou means human-made. Ningen means human. So a human-made human means an android or a cyborg. Now, the official translation in English, I believe, was android. In some countries, I believe they translated it as cyborg. I believe in France they translated it as cyborg, whereas in the United States they translated it as android. If you're a fan of Dragon Ball and you've watched it in different languages, please feel free to let me know how it was translated in your language. It's always fun to hear. Maybe we can create a poll about that. So anyway, Jinzouningen means android, Hachi means 8, and Go means number. So basically that's android number 8, indicating he's the 8th one who was already created. His character is clearly inspired by another movie, namely The Monster of Dr. Frankenstein. You can clearly see the face, the shape of the face, the hair, the stitches on the face. He looks quite similar. Even his jacket and so on, clearly inspired from the original movie of The Monster of Dr. Frankenstein. As I said, he's the 8th android that has been made. Now, as you all know, all these androids were made by Dr. Gero, or Dr. Gero. I'm not going to go into him here because we encounter him later in the manga. It will be more interesting to dive into his backstory and his name once we get there. But this was the first android we encountered, and it was the 8th one, actually. A little sidestep here, because you see that here on the screen that Android 8, number 8, or Jinzouningen Hachi-Gou, calls Son Goku, but it's not written as it usually is with kanji in the manga. It's written with katakana. Now, as you probably know, if you watched my video regarding the writing system in Japanese manga, katakana is used for foreign words, but this is not the case here, but can also be used for emphasis. That's also not the case here. Or to indicate a certain, that the character pronounces a certain word in an unnatural way. Unnatural can be it's a foreigner who's talking, or, as in this case, it's an artificial human who's talking. And just remember, or just think back to the way Arnold Schwarzenegger played his role of Terminator, where he talks in a rather robotic way, I would say. Well, this is actually the same thing that Toriyama-sensei tries to convey by writing Son Goku's name in katakana when Hachi-Gou pronounces his name. And conversely, Son Goku calls Jinzouningen Hachi-Gou Hachan. Now, Hachan comes from Jinzouningen Hachi-Gou. You can make it shorter and call him Hachi-Gou, number 8. And you can still shorten it more and then just keep Hachi, so the number 8. Chan, as we've seen, is a suffix to a name, and it's an endearing term. It shows a certain closeness or friendship. So, Hachan, when you have Chan and you have Hachi in front of it, Japanese people won't say Hachi-chan. They will shorten it and they will contract it to Hachan. So Son Goku calls him Hachan, which shows that he has he has created somewhat of a familiar bond with him, or a certain friendship. Okay, so when they reach Reddo Sousui, he opens a trapdoor and they fall into the room below, which was that Nazo no Heya, the mysterious room. Well, this is the room right under where the general is located. And there they encounter this monster, which is called Buyon. Now, Buyon means it's an onomatopoeia, so a word that describes a sound of something that is bouncy and how can I say, like a ball, right? Like when you have a soccer ball or something like that. It's bouncy or jelly-like, like pudding or something. Buyon is what Japanese will use to describe that sound. For the more mature audience, I would say it can also indicate, Buyon can indicate so-called the sound breasts make, female breasts, when they're rather fully shaped. There also they use the word buyon or buyo buyo. So you can also see it from the drawing. So the character is drawn in such a way, rather fat, but also bouncy, jelly-like maybe, hence his name. So another possible onomatopoeia is buyo buyo, which is sometimes used to reference something that is kind of wobbly, jelly-like. And as they fight him, you see those words coming back, actually used as onomatopoeia. So when Son Goku fires off Kamehameha, it bounces off the belly of that creature, and you can see it on the screen, Buyon. So that's like a bouncy sound where it bounces off his body. Same thing, when he kicks him, he gets bounced back. Buyon is also a variation on that onomatopoeia, Buyon. So his name actually, although it's written in katakana, is actually a native Japanese word referencing his body structure. And as they defeat everyone in the White Tower, they liberate one of the people who was taken hostage there, or who was captive there. And Son Goku calls him just Soncho-san. So Soncho-san, Mura, the first kanji, can be pronounced also Son. Which means village. Cho means long, can also be pronounced Nagai. Soncho actually means the village chieftain or the village mayor. So he's the mayor of the village of Jingulumura, which we encountered earlier. And he was taken captive by the Red Ribbon Gun and was now liberated by Son Goku. With that, we covered everything there is to say about the Howaito Gun. Please join me next time as we continue throughout our journey throughout the Red Ribbon Gun. Lots of colorful things to come, and we're gonna have a little look at some things that are peculiar about Japanese culture. So make sure you don't miss it. See you guys next time. Take care. Jane. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell and sound off in the comments. And hey, while you're here, why not check out another video?